Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition to the Point Podcast. Today, it's Wednesday, but it's Breaking Bad Day. Seamus had to do a little bit of maneuvering yesterday, lifting some heavy machinery, pumping the iron, as we like to say. And we're here on a Wednesday. He's in a new location. I'm a little thrown off, but I do like the nice shrubbery in the back of his office at KPMG in St. John or Rosse. Shay, where are you guys located?
Well, Dougie, I just missed St. John so much after moving out of here. So I said I had to get back to the city. And what better way to get uptown into my office? I just wanted to change the scenery. I thought it was nice coming back. It's nice and quiet here, get more work done, like I was telling you right before. But yeah, there's nice, got some wildlife out here. This beautiful shrub. I don't know, it's probably a good 6 months old. He's nice. He's a great guy. But yeah, that's about it. But no, how are you doing? How was the weekend for you?
Weekend was good. Quiet. Watched did
Preseason
some
football.
stuff. Watched some preseason football. Yeah. Too much. But it is what it is. I got a problem. I could be doing worse things, I suppose. But yeah, I've watched some preseason football. It's I'm really on the home stretch. We got the NFL for real in 2 weeks tomorrow, and college football starts in a week Friday. So it's on.
Is it? I think I'm gonna butcher this. Is it Hawaii and USC or UCLA?
Yeah, it's Hawaii. UCLA is one of the first games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually the opening Saturday, some good games, but Georgia plays Clemson that Saturday night. So that should be a fun one to open the season. And yeah, with football coming back, it's the end of summer. It signals the end of summer, but it's also signals basically my social life ending for 4 or 5 months. So it has its pros and cons when football comes back into the rotation.
Yeah, everyone out there who maybe doesn't know my friend or my co-host very well, if you send him a text on Saturday, there's going to be a limited chance you get an answer all weekend. So you might as well just save that text to Monday and hope that the Monday night game is not as entertaining.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but when it comes to Breaking Bad, we got, after these 2 episodes we covered today, there's 1 episode left in the season. What did you make episodes 11 and 12?
Oh, very good. Yeah, very, very good. Get a little reoccurrence. Wendy gets back in the mix. Love my girl Wendy. If you don't remember, she's Jesse's friend who was at the Crack Palace. And basically we'll get into a little bit about her story, I guess, and what she does for a living, and something even about her later on that I didn't know until now after rewatching. But good. And the ending to episode 12, sorry, is by far one of the most shocking in the show. And, really shows the lengths that, one character is willing to do for another without giving it away.
Yeah, I remember watching that for the first time and I was completely stunned. I did not see that coming whatsoever. And it's a great little plot twist, which we'll get into. But episode 11 starts with a flashback. We see Jesse and Jane, who is his former girlfriend who overdosed and she's now deceased, but they are at the Georgia O'Keeffe exhibit. They talked about this in the show, how she said that her paintings look like vaginas, and Jesse became interested for, adolescent reasons, which, I get it. But they're there and he's talking about, they're all the same painting. They don't look like vaginas. He says they all look like, it's a door, or, I don't get it. And it's just kind of interesting dialogue between the two of them.
Yeah, door and doors, and they kind of get back to the car, and like me and you, maybe we don't understand art as well as some people do, but they just can't get over he just can't get over the sense that, well, why would she paint a door over and over? Wouldn't it be good this time or this time? And Jane kind of lays it out for him that no door is perfect, just like no if a moment was perfect, then why do it again? Why would she said, why would I have another cigarette if that cigarette was perfect?
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that kind of applies, like, the time that they had together was not wasted, obviously, but he should have appreciated it more. And that's how I interpreted it anyways. Did you see it in another way?
Yeah, there are a couple things. Obviously we see the lipstick on the cigarette, which he
Yes.
still has in his car, which is interesting. So that kind of put a bow on that. Also, I agree with your interpretation of it. I've tried to understand art. I try to apply it to like movies, which I know we both love and we can dissect. And I find that I can't do that with art yet. I'm trying to get there. I don't get it, but maybe one day. Kurt, if you're listening, maybe you can help me out. You own art exhibits. He owns art exhibits in England, so maybe he can push me through that. But I also thought it was putting a bow on her character, because we see later that Jesse meets a new woman. And I just think it was moving on from Jesse, from Jane, to this new love interest that I think kind of moved us in that direction, either directly or indirectly.
Yeah, I guess in the way you could interpret it is that, each door is a sense of like the artist keeps trying. And in this case, Jesse keeps trying, with his own, and not being hung up on Jane, because even though he probably still loves her, obviously, she's gone, and he has to find a way to move beyond that, or
Right.
even go through that door, which is, that's even deeper meaning to it. But yeah, no, absolutely right. Yeah, without giving too much away, obviously he does, find somebody else, and we can see that sparks do kind of fly. So you can see that not stopping, and her explaining to him that not stopping is maybe kind of still in the back of his mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And we then pivot to Skylar, and she has Walt over for dinner, which is kind of interesting because they two have not been that close, as we know, as of late. They're still kind of debating on what to do with the money, and Walt's conscience and whatnot. But Junior is talking to him about getting his driver's license, and they kind of have this little dialogue. But when he leaves, he gives Skylar a check for Hank's medical bills, and they start talking about how they're going to get away with doing this, basically every week to pay for Hank's physiotherapy.
Yeah, and because Skylar's background as a bookkeeper, she has some knowledge about what's going on here, and she's very skeptical of this. She says, with this money has to be untraceable, of course, where it's not just Hank and Marie, but Hank being a DEA agent, obviously that comes into play as well. So she's like, I got to meet your guy. I got to meet whoever's doing this. And I basically, she wants to grill him, because she wants this to be as clean and as secure as possible, even though Walter maybe just thinks, well, Saul's the best because, this is what he does. She doesn't just give him that, and she wants more, and she wants to understand every little detail about this. So who do they go meet?
Yeah, they go to Saul Goodman Incorporated. It's this funny scene where they start and they're in the waiting room around all these people, and they're in neck braces and smoking cigarettes and coughing, and it's funny. And they get called in, and Saul is Saul. He says Walt, his taste in women is like his taste in lawyers, top grade. And he's starts talking about how she's very attractive, and he said just the right amount of dirty. He also he says to Scott, which I love, a terrible line to say to a woman, but I appreciated it. But she basically says, after he gets through all his bullshit, beautiful Saul, she says, how are we going to be laundering the money? The gambling story works, but it doesn't work in the sense, eventually the IRS is going to say, okay, how did you make all this money? And his idea is
to buy a laser tag store. He thinks that so he thinks this laser tag is kind of the answer to all their money laundering problems out in the middle of nowhere, run by a yippity dippity. And that's the investment. The investment, kind of like if we go back to a couple episodes where he wanted Jesse to buy the nail salon. This is just kind of another idea, a front for them, their money making schemes, essentially.
Right. And of course, Skylar hates it. She basically says, this does not make any sense. Walt, laser tag, He's a teacher. He's a family person. He never goes to laser tag. Nobody is going to buy this story, and he retorts with, he's a scientist. There's lasers. It makes perfect sense. And it makes sense because we have a Danny.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically he goes on to say, well, a Danny is, someone with inspiration and dreams of, this business. Oh, they're passionate about laser tag. They're passionate about bumper carts. And, they get into a little bit of a hot mess. They can't afford to do, what they want to do. And they got to shut down business until someone like Walter comes in, invests in the business. And, Danny per se keeps turns a blind eye to basically the money laundering going on to keep his dream of owning a laser tag company alive.
Right. And yeah, Skylar's not having it. And she clearly doesn't like Saul. She doesn't think this is going to work. So she just tells Walt that, I don't want to do this. We got to stop this. And he says, I can't stop. I get a contract with Gustavo. He doesn't say his name directly, but I have a contract to work. I can't stop. We could possibly be in danger. So she keeps driving and she goes, okay, well, then I have a better idea. And she pulls into the car wash that Walter used to work at.
Yeah. So she says, this is a more realistic plan than a laser tag that you have no interest in. This car wash. She goes to say that Walter worked there for 4 years. He's knowledgeable about the business. He knows how to run it. It's something that he could do pretty easily because of that background he has. Mm-hmm. And it makes total sense. And it's kind of like, you kind of see that Skylar's more kind of on her feet than Walter is at times, especially with these type of things. I think more and more throughout the show as it progresses. And yeah, right away, Walter's hesitant because, there's no Danny. And, we later find out that there is a solution for that as well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, as somebody in the financial field, do you think Skylar is accurate here? Do you think that the IRS would it would be a better story for the car wash than the laser tag?
It certainly would make sense. And, and it's kind of almost being too picky, but at a time where you can get to a lot of trouble for doing something like this, I think having the details like this would almost make the most sense. So yeah, I believe so. And, I don't think cash is used as well as this car wash that it would be this laser tag, but at the end of the day, the revenue is still coming in. So I think it would be perfect. It would still make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And you think of a car wash as a lot of change too. So you can, bills and change, especially in the States where they got the $1 bill. Obviously we use toonies and loonies up here, but if you're going to pay for a $3 wash or however long it takes, you can throw a couple extra bills in there, I'm sure, and it can be hidden maybe a little bit better. But yeah, no, I just wanted to get your thought on that. We'll then go to Hank. He's in physiotherapy and he's in the very early stages. We see him. He's basically on one of the, you see the two sides where you can put your hands on the handles, but he's strapped in the air basically with a carabiner and he's off the ground. They're trying to put his feet on the ground, but he quickly tells him to stop and he really doesn't have the strength even to take a step yet.
Yeah, all this, super expensive therapy that we saw that essentially Skylar and Hank are paying for. Well, we're seeing it right put to use, and Hank's frustrated, and it goes back to right when we met Hank as a character. He's a proud man, and he hates the fact that everyone's around him trying to help him, and he looks weak. You know what I mean? I think that's just kind of a trait he has, and that's why he's so not aggressive, but he's so pessimistic about this. And if it was up to him, he would try to recover on his own without any physical therapy. But obviously he needs this, and right away he's frustrated and he kind of just shuts it down immediately.
Yeah, he kind of tells him to bring him up, get him off the ground, tells Marie basically to bite me. And yeah, it is typical Hank. He's not trying to be optimistic. He's very pessimistic about the situation and not going well for him. Jesse, on the other hand, attends another rehab meeting And of course, now attending with him is Skinny P and Badger. They are trying to sell to, recently people that are recovering from addictions. Very greasy, as we touched on last week. But he talks to them, and we learn that Skinny has only sold, Badger's only sold a tenth to Skinny P.
Yeah, they find it extremely hard to sell to, recovering addicts, which of course it would be. And Jesse says, I'm putting my ass on the line trying to get product for us to move. And you guys are just selling, like, you guys aren't even selling to anybody. You guys are just wasting it. So, Jesse's kind of puffs out his chest. He says, I'll do it. If you guys can't do it, just step out of my way and I'll show you how it's done. Mm-hmm. And he approaches a girl. We find out she introduced herself in the meeting. Her name is
Andrea.
And he approaches Andrea. He's kind of a smooth talker when he wants to be. He's got that salesman-like, mentality a little bit, mm-hmm. in a greasy way. But he's a charming guy, and that's what he does. He charms her.
Yeah, he says, Andrea, right? And they start talking about, I don't want to be here either. And we pivot to, he's back at Andrea's. They're kind of making out on the couch, and he says, well, do you want to do some crystal? Like, it's kick ass. I got the blue stuff, whatever. And before he can really, he can sell, walks in her mother and her, very young son.
Yeah, just this awkward scene, and right away they both get up and they're both like, oh, like it's basically like you're a teenager trying to pretend like you weren't, I don't know, holding like girl's leg or something. And right away they're obviously pretty embarrassed that the grandmother, aka, our God, I messed up her name again. Andrea. Sorry, I don't know. That's a name I'm not familiar with. Andrea. Oh yeah, it's a toughie. Andrea's, mother clearly knows, and she just goes off in Spanish and walks out. And we get to meet Brock, Andrea's son.
Yeah, he's we instantly see, we've seen this in the past where Jesse was at Mr. Spooge's and his only care was for that child. He wanted to make sure that kid was okay. He starts, a connection with Brock right away. They kind of pound fists. He talks about how he's got a cool shirt, things like that. And, for someone like me, if that was thrown on me and I did not know, that would be catastrophic. Well, you see Jesse kind of like look around being like, whew. But it's still in this episode, he goes out to eat with the two of them. So he's not completely, thrown off of the idea of his new, let's say girlfriend having a young son, her being a single mother, basically.
Yeah. And rewatching it, Juggy, it's funny because, what was Andrea to Jesse before this? It was just a target to sell. Mm-hmm. But, it felt like by meeting her son and by getting to know her, as we see later in this episode and the next, there's more of an emotional connection, kind of coming up than just selling to her, which is what was his original plan. He goes on this big spiel about how, the blue meth makes you feel. And, it goes from that to basically, kind of a full-on relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also for Jesse, it's a feel of family. He so desperately wants his parents' approval. He just wants people in his life that like him and that he trusts. And having Andrea, be willing to introduce her son to him, I think was a good sign for him. And then being able to just be with the kid and interact with him and play some games, it seems to really put him in a good mental state.
Yeah, exactly.
So we go back. They're now in bed together. They're having a beer. But Andrea says, do you have any of that crystal? And Jesse kind of flips out. He goes, you're gonna get high with your kid coming home later? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're a mother. What's going through your head right now? And this was not a good move by our young Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah, he does a full 180 to their earlier conversation, like you said. And yeah, he's just, I think he's just upset at the fact that there's a kid involved, and how could you do that? We saw, the way that he felt when, what's his name, Spooges?
Mr. Spooge, yeah.
Mr. Spooge's kid was involved, and the neglect going on there. Probably has some kind of like vision of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
But right away she snaps on him. She's like, I can take care of my son. I've always took care of my son. I'm not going to let what happened to my brother happen to my son. And she's like, oh, and Jesse says, I can leave if you want me to. And she says, no, like, you don't have to, but you can if you want. And by staying, it kind of shows that Jesse does care more than just walking out on a tough conversation, basically.
Right. He's willing to have that tough conversation, have a fight, so to speak, and move past it. And what's interesting is she says, yeah, I'm, like you said, I'm not going to let what happened to my kid brother Tomas happen to Brock. And she says, the cartel basically scooped him up at 9 years old, and he's like a drug mule. He sells, and he even had to kill somebody for selling on their turf. And Jesse's kind of listening, and he goes, where does he sell? And he says, well, in this corner over there, he rides a bike. And he puts it together that her young brother, her kid brother, who's 11, Tomas, killed his former dealer, his friend, Combo.
Yeah, if we can remember at the beginning of one of the episodes, Combo just basically standing there. He was getting bad vibes from this car that was driving around with this kid driving around with the bike. And, you put two and two together that this is what happened. And this is the person who took out Combo. Mm-hmm. And it was almost as an initiation really for Combo, or sorry, for Tomas to do, as they said, it was kill or be killed. They told him, and he had to do it. And, when Andrea says, she was talking to Tomas, he was almost proud of doing it, because it was like, it was not a big deal. And he just got on with it.
Yeah. It's interesting storyline for sure. But,
and it's shocking to Jesse, because Jesse's like he almost can't believe that that's who happened. And, what are the odds that he's with this person's sister now?
Right. Small world, where he's like, okay, I'm sleeping with this girl. Her brother killed my good friend. That doesn't happen all the time, but so he's, starting to spiral, starting to think like, what the hell is going on here? Before we get back to that, such an interesting storyline. We have Marie and Hank in the hospital, and she tells Hank that you can be released. I got you a new bed. I put the TV in the bedroom. It's going to be great. And Hank snaps because Marie bought a hospital bed.
Yeah, I mean, he can't obviously lay on a normal bed, right, and recover at home that way. But it's going back to what we said earlier. He's too proud. He says, I'm not leaving this hospital until I can walk out here on my own feet. So basically, he wants to be fully healthy. He wants to be recovered. And Marie doing the best she can. She's obviously spent all this money, and she says, you can just come home and you can recover there. At least you'll be home. And Hank's too proud. He says, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not walking out of here unless I can walk, basically.
Yeah. And I'm not well enough. I'm not doing it. And shuts Marie down before, she's really excited, and he just, throws it back in her face. Walter and Skylar are still discussing the whole laser tag / car wash. And he tells Skylar that about the Danny, and how they need the person to, look the other way, so to speak, who's willing to accept a cash payment, or, be really excited about the business, and somebody you trust. And, it's somebody that Saul's done business with before. So there's no risk there.
Yeah.
But, Skylar says, well, what if I'm the Danny?
Yeah, she takes it in as, I know the books, I can do the job, and I'm knowledgeable, and I'm already involved because you're my husband. And, Walter automatically, not wanting Skylar to be involved whatsoever goes, well, no, like, you can't be involved, and we're not even family. We're divorced. And Skylar goes, and it turns out Skylar never signed the papers. So even though they could be, I guess on paper they're separated, they're not officially divorced, which means, if it came down to court, they couldn't testify against each other.
Right, which is the most important aspect of this. Yeah, her testimony would mean nothing. So she couldn't rat him out, and it, in the event of a divorce, you split the assets. Here she would keep the money, and legally it's in a car wash, they're making money, so it wouldn't be a red flag if Walter was to get caught. In all likelihood, they'd still be able to keep that money that's in the car wash, because it would be hard to prove that they weren't making the money legally. So interesting proposition. They haven't decided on yes or no yet. Walt, I think, is still very much against it, but Skylar, she is going to continue to push this issue until she gets her way.
Yeah, Skylar. Well, we've seen it more and more. Skylar's involvement comes increasingly, especially like you think about her making up the whole story about gambling and his winnings and the illegal gambling, and she's trying to get involved with the money laundering because she says, well, at the end of the day, we can trust each other. We can't trust this Danny person to rat us out or to screw us over. So she says it makes perfect sense why she'd want to do it instead of somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting move for sure. While cooking, Walt gets a call while they're in the lab, which never happens. He gets a call on the landline, and it's from Gustavo. And Gus invites him over for dinner, which is an interesting move. And he's got a very nice place. It's not anything crazy, but it's very, very quaint, very nice. Got some nice. I noticed the countertop, Shay. I'm trying to brush up on my nice home decor. So I like this countertops, nice wood cupboards. But
the best way to put it, Juggy, it was a comfortable house, but it doesn't scream luxury. It doesn't scream anything major, but it's a very, very nice home. But at the same time, it wouldn't pop up red flags if you were someone who was looking into this person.
Exactly. He's living in a cul-de-sac, so he's got neighbors. He doesn't have a whole whack of land. So I totally agree. And I thought you'd like he's playing, it sounded like he's playing some jazz on an old record player.
Yeah, he had some good tunes flowing, and he gets in there, and when you get this call, and I remember the first time watching this, I'm like, what kind of vibe is this going to be? Is this going to be like sit down and have a serious conversation? But right away, you can see that Gus welcomes him into his home. For one, he's dressed very casually. He's not dressed in a suit or his usual uniform at work. And he's just welcoming, and he's welcoming Walter in. And you can right away, you see that Walter's almost a little uncomfortable, but a little weary of what the situation's about.
Yeah, Walt's got a tie on, and he's very done up. And, Gus just says, help me chop up the vegetables. And he's making this Chilean dish that his mother used to make. And they sit down to eat. And Gus tells Walt, you must learn to be rich. And he advises him never make the same mistake twice, which is interesting advice. And I was wondering if you got the same feel that he's kind of pointing towards Jesse.
Yeah. Oh, right away. I mean, he's clearly saying, this is Jesse's caused you to get in trouble before. You think of almost getting caught by Hank. That was Jesse's fault for coming there when he shouldn't have. All kinds of things that Jesse's really led to. And Walter, he's just kind of remaining with the conversation. He's not saying anything about it, and he doesn't bring up Jesse's name as well. But yeah, for sure, right away you think, well, Gus is basically inclining, how much longer do you need this Jesse Pinkman?
Right. And it also kind of pointed to me that he might know that Jesse is stealing some of the meth from the lab, just because
I never thought of that.
Yeah, like Walt talked about it being bugged or people watching with cameras, and it wouldn't shock me if he's got his little spies in there, or a couple wiretaps, because we've seen Mr. Mike do that at Walt. So I think he could easily set that up in the lab. But yeah, it was non-threatening threat to Walt, watch yourself. And when can we this dog's really nice, but he's 13 and he's peeing on the floor. When's it time to put him down? I think that's kind of the vibe I got from Gus here.
I feel the same way. And it's also, don't make the same as twice. He basically says, as someone who is starting out like Walter is,
Mm-hmm.
I've made mistakes, and we get into that much later. And I think at the beginning of season 4, I believe we start to deep dive into Gus's background. But he's also giving a little this is what you should be doing if you want to be established, and kind of doing what I'm doing.
Right. And yeah, interesting scene for sure. And we end the episode with Jesse. He goes to the corner where Combo was killed. And Tomash, aka the kid on the bike, is, driving around in circles. And he goes up to him and he says, can I buy some crystal? And he says 300. So $300 for a teenth. That's what they're selling. And he's like, holy crap, that's a lot. And these two guys pull up in the car. He gives them the money. They drive away. And Tomash hands him a bag, but it's the blue stuff.
And yeah, this not only confirms that this is the person that killed Combo, but in sense the person who killed Combo works for the people that Jesse and Walter work for. And I think that's a scary realization for him, that for one, this person kind of fucked them over in the past, and two, that I lost my train of thought, but two being that these people work with kids, and these people mule kids is what I was going to say. And that we see that Jesse doesn't stand with that.
No, I mean, it's pretty bad. Obviously, you got an 11-year-old kid who was told, kill this human being or we'll kill you. And his employer is employing children to kill his friends. And Jesse's a very loyal person. We see that. And Combo was his friend. And yeah, this is only the start of his push to get even, so to speak, with these two members of Gustavo's staff. But before we get to that, episode 12 starts, and I love the start of this episode. We've seen a few of these where we've seen the Mexican band talk about Walter. We've seen them talk about different characters, just the twins sometimes, and through song. This one is a montage about our favorite prostitute named Wendy. And Wendy she lives at the Crystal Palace in a hotel room. And I called this the Wendy song because they talk about all the stuff she's doing, and it's basically a montage of her drinking mug root beer, doing crystal, and giving blowjobs.
Yeah, it's just her getting picked up, going to the same spot every time, and her head goes down to the driver's lap, and it does this about, I don't even know, 4 or 5 times. You see that you kind of just get a sense of what her life is like. She's fighting with other prostitutes outside. She's squatting down in the alleyways to take a deuce. It's just not a good life for poor Wendy, and you can see that she's in a rough one. But at the end of this montage, we see that she delivers burgers to 2 very known faces that we've seen in the last episode.
Yeah, so Wendy delivers burgers once or twice a week to the 2 men that are kind of bodyguards to Tomas. And she gives them burgers for a discount on crystal. And, we see she's highly addicted. And so she does that once or twice a week. And sitting there watching her give the burgers to these guys is one Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah, so Jesse's playing a little Rico, you could almost see. Like he wants to know, and as we know, as I said earlier, Jesse and Wendy have a certain bond together.
Yes, we've seen that he used her as an alibi when they were with Tuco. She did not rat on him. She faced the DEA. And she didn't crack, and Jesse would be in jail right now if she did. But they clearly have a bond, and he trusts her, and so he definitely sees this as an opportunity potentially to use her as leverage, or as use her at some point to get his way.
Yeah, exactly. And it pans over to them cooking in the meth in the lab together. And Jesse does probably the first thing he's ever done with Walter and says, "Do you want to go for a beer, a casual beer?" And Walter's like, "No, not really. Like, we don't have any relationship outside this work, but thank you." And Jesse goes, "No, do you want to go for a beer?" And kind of hints that the place could be bugged and he needs to tell Walter something.
Right. Smart on Jesse's part, because he knows Walt would go in that sense. So I appreciated that. And he tells them that he throws the blue on the table. First of all, Walt's, "What the hell are you doing?" He says, "I bought this. This is our product, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, why?" He said, "I bought this from two men who killed Combo." Tells him that they have a kid dealing for them, that our employer is doing this, and he hates that they're using children, and that this kid was forced to kill his friend. And he basically tells Walt, "Combo was one of us. We can't, this can't happen anymore. We got to do something about this."
Yeah, so right away he brings up the idea of ricin, which they were going to use, if you can remember, all the way back to season 2 on Tuco Salamanca. And they said they were going to use the ricin in mixing with a little bit of meth, and they were going to give it to Tuco. And it doesn't kill the person right away; it kills them after a few days. It's untraceable, and it's a super clean way. And basically, Jesse's saying, "Get me some ricin, and I'll have this done within a day."
Right. And Walt says, "Absolutely not. This is not a good idea. Like, do you know who you're dealing with here? Our employer is not going to be happy with this. He's dangerous. We know that. And we can't be doing this. We're making a lot of money right now. Okay, I get it. That I don't like that they're using a child either, but we got to be smart. We can't let this happen."
Now, I get a question for you. I thought about this after watching the episode 11, Juggy. You think about morals here, and you see Jesse's morals. Okay, well, I don't like that they're using kids to smuggle mule, and you know what I mean. That's wrong. But this is the same guy at the beginning of last episode who was looking to sell to recovering addicts. So I often see, and this isn't the first time I see this, Jesse's morals sometimes get, yeah, he cares for one thing, but is what do you consider personally worse? Do you think selling to recovering addicts is worse, or using the kids is worse?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I definitely think Jesse's a hypocrite in this sense, because like you said, he's doing two wrongs don't make a right, and he was doing something wrong, and now he says, "Well, this is worse than what I was doing." I would say the kid is worse, because at least the person that was addicted, they made that choice. They smoked it once or twice, whether, and they kept doing it. Somebody like Wendy, she's addicted. Jesse went through Jane with heroin. She made that decision. I look at, I'm wondering, I'm looking at it and saying, well, this kid never had a choice. And he had to, he basically said, "You're doing this or we're going to kill you." And, forcing someone to get into this life is different from actually doing it.
Yeah, I think the innocence of youth when it comes to this kid, obviously he never really had a choice, because he was basically brainwashed since he was 9. They say he started muling when he was 9. He shot somebody when he was 10. What's interesting about this conversation they have at this little bar is, Walter goes, I'm not a murderer. We don't murder people. That's not what we're about here. So we're not going to murder these people. And Jesse gets up and says, "If you're not going to do it, I'll do it myself." And there's a look of concern from Walter, because he knows that this could blow back on him potentially, but it could also get Jesse into a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So he's very, like you said, he's very worried, and he goes to see Saul, and he says, "We got to do something about this. What if we get Jesse arrested? Can we do that?" And Saul goes, "Well, I guess on a minor charge, but I've heard some bad things about this jail when it comes to the shower scene," which is kind of
It's just
funny.
it's just funny that he knows all about like the different types of prisons, and he knows what's going on within them because he just deals with criminals on such an active basis.
Right. So he says, yeah, I don't know if that's such a good idea for Jesse with the whole shower scene. But he says, I could put him in this prison. It's pretty lax. They do a lot of community service, and basically 30 days, well, it goes 30 days, put him in there, he'll cool off, and we'll be okay. And Saul basically said, okay, let me call my PI and see what I can do.
Yeah, so Walter's home one night, and he's just sitting with his baby, of course, and they're having a good time. And gets a ring on the door, and he goes to put Holly down. And who is it but Mike, the PI, one of our favorite characters. And what I love about Mike is he's cautious, clearly, but he's also very brash. And he doesn't. It's no, hey, can I come in? It's I'm gonna walk into your house.
Yeah, he doesn't ask for the can I come in. Just walks in. He sees Holly. What a cute little baby. I have a granddaughter that's about her age. And he says, yeah, I'm not going to arrest Jesse. But this is a problem, Walter. And I don't think our boss would be very happy if his employers were taken out. And Walt's very clearly thrown off by this. He goes, what do you mean, Saul? And Mike goes, no, our boss, Gustavo.
Yeah, so it's the first time he's really revealed that, he doesn't work for Saul. Clearly, he does work for Saul in a sense, but he does most of his work for Gustavo Fring. And, this is kind of huge because before this, Saul, this means that Mike knows. Saul doesn't know, and Mike knows everything that has gone on between Saul and, Jesse and Walter. So it's kind of like, oh, this is a realization that Mike has got more dirt on these guys than, they care to like. And I'll let you go ahead with this story, but, he breaks down one of the, I would say, most aggressive stories in the whole show.
Yeah, very much so. He says, yeah, I like to deal with problems head on. He goes, let me tell you a story, Walter. When I was a cop, interesting information. We didn't know that before. It tells you something about Mike. I was a beat cop, and we always got calls to this abusive husband, and he would beat up his wife, and he'd crack a rib, or she'd have a broken nose, but she was too afraid to lay charges. So we couldn't do anything. We just put him in the cruiser. He'd be out the next morning, kind of thing. He said, one night I was by myself, and he really did some damage on her. She was really beat up. So I put him in the back of my cruiser, and I took a right, and I drove him out to the desert, and I stuck a revolver in his mouth and basically told him, this is where it ends for you. And this guy was, shitting himself, peeing, like worried this is it for me. And Mike told him to shut up, and he sat there for a long period of time just with the gun in his mouth. And he just stood there. And he didn't kill him, but he said, if you touch that woman again, I'll kill you worse than you could possibly imagine. You won't even want to be alive. And he let him go. 2 weeks later, the woman was dead. He beat her to death. He did so much damage to her. Her skull was so caved in they could hardly make her out. And he basically says, in that scenario, I took a half measure, not a full one. But never again, Walter. I'll never make that mistake again. Which kind of points you to Gustavo's last bit of advice at the end of episode 11.
They're warning signs for Walter, aren't they? Like, kind of like, we don't make the same mistake twice. We're not going to, when we have a problem, we're going to get rid of it. And that is, kind of the glaring, flashing warning sign for Walter to see. The reason I love this scene is because Mike, you can see, and I don't know the actor's name by hand. You might know, Juggy, but he gets more and more worked up and more angry as the story tells. And that's what I love about this. He doesn't just tell the story, but he kind of relives it through his emotions.
Absolutely.
And he does a fantastic job. And as soon as he's done the story, he just leaves. It's not like he doesn't tell him anything else. He was there for one moment, one thing, tell him that story, give him the warning, and then leave. And that's kind of like what you like by Mike. He's an in and out guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jonathan Banks is the actor, and I totally agree. You feel like you're there. You know, you see it in different, you know, shows and films where there's an abusive. You felt like you were in the desert with him, the guns in his mouth, and the guy's just completely worried for his life. But Walt has gotten the picture. So the next day, Jesse. Well, first of all, Jesse goes to meet with Wendy, and he has the ricin, and he said he found it on the internet, but she's very nervous, and he says, "You have a son, right?" And he says, "Imagine this was Patrick. What wouldn't you do anything to protect your son?" And it's really the kid angle that pushes her in Jesse's direction.
Yeah, because as strong as, you know, Wendy may seem, as strong as she was for the DEA, she's essentially accessory to murder, or she is murdering somebody in a sense, and she doesn't like that. I mean, she does, to be honest, she does some nasty things, but adding murder on the resume is not good for anybody, and she can see that. But you're right, Jesse has the angle, and he kind of pushes that angle to get what he wants.
Yeah, and yeah, interesting, smart move by Jesse, but also it does make her put her in those shoes, and so she's on board. So they're parked near the corner, and before the guys aren't there. So Jesse goes like, "What the hell? Where are they? Aren't they always here?" And she goes, "Yeah, like I'm getting worried." And before anything happens, in comes Mike and his right hand man. They knock on the window. He says, "Get out of the car." Tells Wendy to take a walk. They put Jesse in the back seat and they start driving.
Yeah, they're driving the drive, and Jesse says, you know, where he's sitting beside Mike in the back. He says, "Where are we going?" Mike just kind of looks at him and then looks away. And, you know, Jesse doesn't know this, but obviously from us watching the show, they go to the factories, Los Bolos factories. And the first thing you're thinking is, okay, he's having to sit down with Gus. Maybe he's going to die. Maybe they're just going to take him there and kill him, because let's be honest, everything else is pointing that direction.
Yeah.
But he gets there and he starts walking up to the door, and he sees the Aztec, and he knows that Walter probably ratted him out.
Yeah, so he sees the Aztec, he walks in, and sitting around the table are Gus, Walter, the two bodyguards, and himself with Mike and the other partner just kind of hanging back. And Jesse's basically like, "You rat bitch, like you ratted me out. Like, are you serious? Are you kidding me right now?" And Gus quickly shuts him up, and he says, "The only reason that you're not dead right now is because of the respect I have for Walter. You'd be dead otherwise, but he has vouched for you. There's going to be no more killing. You're not touching my employees. You're not affecting my business. You're going to shake these two men's hands, and this ends right now."
Yeah, and this scene gets me going every time, but Jesse says no. Jesse says, "No, I'm not doing that." And he sticks up to someone, A, he knows he works for, but B, is very, very, very powerful. And, you know, Gus says, okay, he says, "Two bodyguards, you guys leave." And he basically walks over, and probably this is the most worked up and the most, you know, scary we've probably seen Gus at this point throughout the show.
Absolutely. And I do give Jesse credit, because I think he was willing to die there if he had to. And he says, "I'm not doing it." And he says, "Your two employees hire children to kill people." And he goes, "I don't give a shit about turf," basically. "And I thought you were an honest, good businessman, yet you're hiring children. Like, what's the matter with you?" Kind of throwing it back at Gus. And he says to the two he says, finally, "Okay, you're both at fault here. There's a turf battle, and there's also, you know, somebody dying." He says to the two bodyguards, "No more kids, no more employing children." And he says, "Jesse, this won't happen again. Shake their hands. This is it." And he reluctantly does.
Yeah, exactly. Very reluctant handshake between these two gentlemen. But that's that. And, you know, the next scene is just Walter and Jesse basically driving home in this very awkward conversation. Mind you, the whole time that Walter's there, he just looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He kind of doesn't, he almost avoids eye contact with Jesse because he probably feels like he betrayed Jesse in a sense that, he didn't want to rat him out, but at the same time, if he would have rat him out, he would have died.
Absolutely. If maybe could have got away with it, but I think there's enough clues there. Gus is a smart dude. He put something together, and then even Walter's in a tough spot because then he knew Jesse planned to do it and didn't tell Gus. So he potentially could be in the line of fire as well. Early on in the episode, but there's so much going on. We do see Walt and Skylar. They have more communication about her being the middleman, so to speak. And, he basically says, like, okay, if you're going to be that person, well, we got to look like we're at least copacetic here. We got to, I'm coming over for dinner 5 days a week. She goes, no, 1. He goes, no, 4. She goes, no, 1. And he goes, 3. They finally settle on twice a week, and he's allowed to get a key to the house to keep up appearances.
Yeah, and it's kind of this funny, like they're doing it for appearances, obviously, but I'm sure Walter really does just want to be more involved in the life. So he's really fighting for something he wants, where Skylar is more or less fighting for, her chance to get involved with the money laundering part. So from this, we know that A, the money laundering is going to happen again, and B, Walter is going to appear to the outside world that he's getting more involved with his family and that they're becoming more of a family again.
Yes, it serves. It's a good purpose for Walter. He gets back into the home. He gets to be around Junior, gets to be with his daughter, and also Skylar gets what she wants because she's now got her hands in the proverbial cookie jar here, in where all the money is. There's a scene that's kind of ominous because we see after the meeting Tomas riding his bike, and it's kind of late at night, and we then pivot to Jesse's visiting Andrea. They're kind of in bed again, just having a good time. And she gets a call and starts crying, profusely. And we hear the sirens. We just see them driving. It's kind of like a big crash because it's like ringing in your ears the way they kind of portrayed this. And they get to this park, and we see his Nike shoes just laying there. He's covered with a sheet, and Tomas has been killed.
Yeah, so complete opposite of what we thought. We probably think Tomas is getting off very easy, but with the cartel ties, it's not that easy. And of course, he's can't just walk away from something like that. It's like most gangs, most mafias. You've seen it. You think about the Sopranos. What was the big gay guy? What was his name again, Chuggy?
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. I forget the name off the top of my head.
I remember the scenes between, Tony and other guys saying he can't just walk away. He goes away for a long time, but
even
they're going to search him.
Like Beansy, paying his bets and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, won't let him go. So that's just it. You can't get away from something like that. So it doesn't matter what age you are, it always comes back to haunt you. And when they got their hooks in you can't just leave.
Exactly, and even Joe Pesci in Goodfellas when Fat Pauly, lays waste. That's it. You're right. You don't get out when you are old and you die, or you try to get out and you die. So you can't. It's a lose situation. So obviously this is going to throw off Jesse, but there is this funny scene before we get there where Marie is visiting Hank in the hospital. Junior was there earlier, and he kind of talks to Hank about, you should get out of the hospital. You can get out of here. I got crutches. Should I be in the hospital all the time? Which I thought was a pretty good point from Junior because he's got cerebral palsy. He doesn't have an easy life, yet he walks the walk every day. But Marie's kind of giving Hank a sponge bath and just kind of wiping his back. But then she grabs his John, we'll say.
Yeah, the old family jewels, they all below the belt.
Yeah.
And she says, right away, Hank's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It won't work. And for her sake, I mean, I bet she's curious
Yeah.
to think, whether or not she's going to be able to fulfill herself. And she goes, just let me check. And she goes, if I do this and if I get this up, let's go home. And he goes, no way. And she goes, well, are you scared? Are you scared of losing?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, you know what, Marie, just to get you to shut up. If you can get that thing up, sure, we'll go home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because wait, what are you doing? Like, stop. And then he kind of, he just kind of sits back, and it's this funny cut to him in a wheelchair with a basket full of balloons and flowers, and Marie's just following the nurse with the biggest smile on her face.
Yeah. So she got what she wanted, and she used the best way she knew how, getting him going.
Yeah, the weakness to every man, so to speak. But yeah, good, funny little scene in a very serious episode. I thought it was good comic relief, for sure. So Walt can't get a hold of Jesse. He's called him many times. He doesn't know yet why, but he cooked. He didn't show up for work, and he's sitting at home, and he's about to sit down to dinner when on the TV he hears that a young kid named Tomas, 11 years old, was killed in a park. And he instantly figures, oh my God, that's Jesse's kid. Like that's the kid brother. And he can't even sit down for dinner with his family because he knows, okay, something's going to happen here.
Yeah. It's this funny scene where he sits down, he's blanking out, and it cuts to him right at the door, says, I got to go. And he just leaves. And we see this scene, and you hate to see it. Jesse's outside in his car. He's got the beanie on, and he cracks up some meth. And you're as a viewer, you're sitting there thinking, "Don't do it, Jesse, don't do it." But he takes a line and he reaches for his gun. Right, mind you, this is like pitch black out.
Yeah.
Only the lights, and he's at the same location watching the two bodyguards basically sell to other people.
Right. So after they make a sale, he gets out of his car and he starts walking towards their vehicle. And as he gets on the main road, the two of them exit their vehicle and start walking towards him. And they start pulling their guns out from their belt. And there's two of them, one of him. And Jesse hasn't killed anyone before. These clearly have. They killed a child just earlier that day. So he's got the gun, he's shaking. He thought he needed the crystal in order to kill these men. And they have their guns drawn. They're ready to shoot him. And it looks to me, Shay, I thought first, like, oh, Jesse's going to die here. Like, what's going to happen? Like, he clearly is not going to kill both of these guys. But as he puts one foot on the sidewalk, they're ready to pull the trigger. Walter comes storming in the Aztec, going very, very fast, and hammers both of them with the car driving over them.
Yeah. And you think, oh, they're dead, but one of them still up, still moving. And Walter gets out of the vehicle, runs over to the guy, kicks his gun away, picks it up, and execution kills him to the head, and then looks at Jesse and says, run. And that's how the very, very what's that called? Very title of, I guess, appropriate title for this episode, Half Measure, gets ended.
Right. And I love the way it ended, just with him saying run, then it cuts to black. I think that's great because it's a cliffhanger, but in the show, the episode's the next week. So you don't got to wait a whole season. You know what I mean? Like, you got that episode the next week. So it's only, as a viewer, obviously when you have Netflix now, but in the real time, okay, it's a cliffhanger, but it's next week. That's when you get to figure out what happens here.
And it sets up a really good season finale is what it does. I mean, you're thinking, what is going to happen now? Like, basically the one thing Gus said don't do, they just did. So right. Like, what's the relationship going to be like there? Oh, it's good. You're right. It's an excellent way to end the episode, especially as a preseason finale.
Yeah. And Walt continues to prove that he is a killer. And he said when when they went to grab their beer, we're not killers. Well, that's not true. Walter has killed many people. He's done it before, and he adds another 2 victims to his list here.
And he didn't even, and like, it wasn't a hesitation. Like, as soon as he picked up that gun, it was, he put one through his head as fast as can be, because, I think maybe if he waited, maybe he wouldn't have killed him. But at the same time, you're right. Yeah. He's got 2 more bodies. Hard to keep track now, to be honest, how many people Walter's actually got killed, but it's crazy. And yeah, I'm not a murderer, but at the end of the episode, he ends up murdering 2 people.
Yeah. And what I love about the season finale, the episode is titled Full Measure. And
yeah, so I was just gonna say, like, watching it just gets you hyped up, because you're thinking, well, if this is only half of it, well, like, what's gonna happen? And yeah, it's lead to a crazy last episode. You think of, not that that's a big scene, but Hank going home, now everything going on, what are the repercussions going to be from Gustavo after after he finds out what happened to these 2 dummies. Everything's going on, and of course, Walter and Skylar are gonna buy a car wash.
Right, a lot's happening, and again, it does show that Walt is very loyal to Jesse. He has his slip ups. He ratted on him, but in the end, he ended up doing what Jesse wanted. These 2 men are dead, and yes, the child is dead, but that was probably happening anyway. Either way you look at it, Gustavo was probably telling one of his other cronies to go kill this little kid, unfortunately. But he does get redemption, and it's Walt doing it for him. So Walt can be very one-dimensional. He can be very selfish, but it seems like he needs all the pushing to get to the edge of the cliff, but eventually he will do what's right for Jesse. He's done it many times throughout the show.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen through the last 2 episodes, Walter was willing to go to bat for Jesse multiple times, until unfortunately he did go to bat for him, like you said, and end up killing these 2 guys for him.
Right. So yeah, we got a great final episode of season 3 next week, which I can't wait to break down and watch again with you this week. But some great weather. Again, today looks like another beautiful day. Tomorrow, any golf in the short-term plans for you?
Yeah, I was out actually Monday, and we have a nice little, I think, thanks to old KPMG, we have a little golf trip here on Friday coming up. I only get to play 9, but still looking forward to being at Petitcodiac. Any good stories about Petitcodiac from you?
I played hockey there a few times. Seen some guys drink in the parking lot, full bottles of whiskey too early in the day. So that was alarming, but
it's great
otherwise fairly nice. You can grab, get to Salisbury on the way back, maybe grab a Blizzard.
True enough. But other than that, no big plans. I got a good friend from Ontario arriving here on Friday. I'll get to see him. Any plans for you coming up for the weekend?
Yeah, I gotta go to a wedding, so we're doing that. Celebrate Cody and Megan, which will be nice. Long time coming for them with the pandemic, so good to see them finally tie the knot. Probably watch some sports, because that's kind of my MO. Probably watch a little bit here and there throughout the weekend, and probably watch some golf myself. We get the second leg of the 3 final tournaments of the season. The top 70 players in the FedEx Cup standings will play this weekend, so we'll see how that plays out.
You got a big interview tomorrow for Dylan Young. That was exciting to hear. Congratulations.
Tomorrow, thank you. Be interviewing Daryl Young. He's got a decade. He's been in hockey for over 40 years. Was a scout for the Tampa Bay Lightning when they won the Cup in 2004. Was a scout for Vancouver when they made it to the Stanley Cup final in 2011. He's been a general manager of the St. John Sea Dogs. So he's done it all in his career, and I plan on having a great conversation with him and, just talk some hockey. So looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon.
He's going to have a couple stories. Some I'd rather hear off the air, but of course you can't get those ones.
Yeah. I plan on asking one question I'll reveal right now is, who was the real leader of that team in 2004? I think LeCavalier obviously was the captain, but I even heard Marty St. Louis talk about how he thought he was a more important leader, more important player than Vinny. There's also Brad Richards on that team. You had Dave Andrechuk. So you had a lot of good players there, but that's one thing I kind of want to dive into because they had a great team in 04.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, there's just so much to talk about. Talk about the Sedin brothers and what they meant to that team. Bobby Lou on there, and of course, he's gonna have great stories about some great players from here in St. John.
Yeah, he was also part of the staff that drafted Sawyer Hanna.
Oh gosh, he should have been fired probably. No wonder he's there no more. No, that's in all seriousness. It was that's good, and I'm happy for you. I think that's going to be a great interview, and I can't wait to listen.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, looking forward to that tomorrow, 4:30 on the To The Point Facebook Live, and that'll be later available on Apple as well, as I will convert that into audio later in the day. But Shay, great episode today, and looking forward to the finale next week to break it all down.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. As as much as I'd love to binge watch the show, I do appreciate the show more, taking it in in stride and watching it little by little and digesting every little piece of it. And I appreciate this selection, I guess, by both of us. We both came to agreement that we should do this, and 2 seasons to go after this one, and it's unfortunately going to go too fast.
It's crazy. We're already through 3 of them. I can't believe it all. It's crazy, but we'll be back next week, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully you can check out my interview tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun. But until then, stay safe, everybody. Enjoy the good weather, and we'll talk soon.